another GCSS-Army maintenance operations video. And today we're on part 10 of our series on the ARIMS and binder labels for your CBRN room and operations. So this is going to be a quick ARIMS video, just roughly focusing on the CBRN room, some tips and tricks, what I do. I am going to do a full series on ARIMS from start to finish. That's going to be coming after we're done all the CMDP stuff. So without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen and we will get started. By the way, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. All right, so CBRN room ARIM labels, all right, and binders. So just like the rest of the series, this is the actual checklist of the CMDP. So ARIMS Records Information Management System, that's what ARIMS stands for, right? So ARIMS is used in the Army for everything, right? So objectives and some references we're going to use on this: train the trainer, understand the purpose and resourcefulness of the new ARIMS, learn the basics of ARIMS, and then of course, if you want to know more, which I highly suggest, AR 25-400-2 and the ARIMS user guide and ARIMS websites. All right, so basically, the purpose of Army record keeping is to properly maintain information and creation through final disposition according to federal law and Army record keeping requirements. This regulation 1-1, right? So establish the ARIMS as a portion of the Army information management, furnishes only legal authority for destroying non-permanent, okay? So this provides us a life cycle for all of our records and how we're supposed to keep them for maintenance, storage, retrieval, stuff like that. Ensure that mission essential records are available when needed. Preserves the records needed to protect the rights and interests of the Army. All right, so keep that in mind. So application, right? So like I said, ARIMS applies to all unclassified Army records, including FOUO, regardless of the medium. All right, all classified Army records through secret records that are top secret may be set up under ARIMS or in a manner that will keep accountability and control easier. Regardless of the arrangement used, however, the disposition instructions in the ARIMS records retention schedule will be applied to top secret records. All right. Like I said, the security classification of record does not change its retention value. So ARIMS does not apply to, right? So record copy of international agreements, publications, blank forms, stocked or filling requisitions, reference materials, books, informal organized or official designated libraries, personal or private records maintained in the workspace, right? So with that said, I understand personal and private records, but make sure that you have at least the Privacy Act statement on your desk drawers and things. So disposition instructions, right? So all these codes, when you look at an ARIMS label, you'll see a K, a T, a KN, KE, so forth. So disposition instruction of records are categorized as two types of records. The first type of record is that it has no value beyond the business process. These are usually short-term records. The second type is for records that have a value beyond the business process, such as historical, lessons learned, research purposes. These are generally long-term. Disposition instructions are coded begin with the letter K or T, right? Or transferable, followed by an E for event when applicable. The last part of the code is a number representing the retention period, or the letter P for permanent, okay? So you can find that in 1-C. So code K, right? So along with the retention period means this record must be kept for a period of time specified before it can be destroyed. So when you look at your ARIMS labels, when you see a K, make sure you're looking at the label. KE is along with the retention period. The disposition is event driven, okay? And the record must be kept until the event occurs, plus a specific time after the event. You got your KN is used when a specified time period is unknown. Records are kept kept until no longer than 6 years conducting business. All right. Then KEN is used when a specific time period is not known, and the disposition is event driven. Records are kept until the event occurs and then until no longer needed. All right, but not longer than 6 years. Then you got your code T, okay? So it's retention period for longer than 6 years. The records are retired, archived, and so forth. Then TE, like I said, it's event driven. Code TP, TPE are used for records with permanent retention periods where records are retired, okay? So like I said, Everybody uses ARIMS, your training room, supply room, arms room, CBRN, commo, the first sergeant's office, the commander's office, your XO's office. Every desk and everything should be filed in accordance with ARIMS, right? So like I said, these are some references. You got the APAM 25-403. And then, like I said, the purpose, okay? The whole reason for ARIMS is the ability to manage hard copies and electronic records more efficiently, okay? And then giving us all the web-based tools and technologies to actually get this done. Like when you access the website, it is CAC access only. Most organizations and posts require you to take an ARIMS class, which is a short class, help you set up your accounts, help load your oral, and also help with loading your office symbols, because it's office symbol driven. Like I said, create, action officer receives, creates, manages records. There's your website for your ARIMS. So supplies, right? So folders, standard size folders to consolidate, retrieve, to protect the records. Your guide folders are standard guides to divide records to identify subdivisions for easy filing and retrieving. And of course, all your labels are 51s, 61s, okay, or equivalents. And of course, you need your fastener, binders, and envelopes. So here's just a quick example. In a bucket, there are subcategories. So if you look here, you got your 700 alpha, 700 alpha hand receipts, 700 alpha recon, 700 alpha signature cards, right? So that's one way of doing it. Now, in the event, like I know a lot for us, publications and so forth, we usually have those on a disk. However, in your filing cabinet, if you do have something in your CBRN room, let's say your TMD book, right? So your TMD book, make sure in your actual ARIMS or your filing cabinet, you put this right here, this records cross-reference, which is DA form 1613, saying, hey, these files are located in this binder on this bookshelf in this room. Be specific as possible, all right? So make sure you're following this and make sure you're using this form. And then same thing with your CDs, and you got to make sure that all the stuff is labeled, right? So what should I be tracking, right? So like I said, the Army standard is that all filing systems use ARIMS. So for the CBRN room, I use 800 Delta, 600 Echo, and I use 700 Alpha. So under 800 Delta, I usually use for reference publications, policies, procedures, SOPs, external SOPs, appointment orders, things like that. 600 Echo is school training and education. So fit test, chamber training, skill level tasks, training calendar, DTMS printouts, all that stuff is what I normally put in my 600 files. So your 700 alpha files is where really your meat and potatoes are, and where you're tracking all your general logistics, equipment, supplies, and appropriate accountability. So for this, I normally do my TMs for my limbs, cyclic inventories, sensitive item inventories, your individual hand receipts for your mass, your DA form 1687, your signature cards, assumption and command orders. This is where I normally track my TMD projection, delinquent, my calibration trackers, stuff like that. CBRN equipment 5988s, service schedules, service packets 5990s, right? So all the day-to-day stuff is what I usually use 700 alpha for. So if you go to the Teams page, if you want the link, just email me down below or comment down below and I'll get you the link. But I already built all the CBRN labels from my company and I'm willing to share them. Just an example, like I said, 800 Delta publications, right? Then, I talk about external SOPs, fit test, just basic stuff that we actually use here at the company level. Let me blow this up a little so I can show you a little better. So like 600 Echo chamber, right? Your sign-in sheets, your skill level tasks, your cyclic inventories, individual hand receipts. All this gets a label. Let's click through a couple more here. There you go. Here's your 1687s. Make sure that you have a 1687 book or something. Like I know for my CBRN room, I got everybody a Task C account for my CBRN so that they're able to draw training aids and so forth. So when we want to actually do CBRN training, we can make it realistic as possible, right? It's all about that. And of course, your 5988s, PMCS, your service schedule, your calibration data, your TMDE data. Now, like I said, when you're building your ARIM files, like you want to keep this in mind. Let me shrink this a little. So these are the labels that I normally use for my binders, like current MTO unit or unit MTO. That way I can put it on the spine, make the cover sheet, and I'm good to go. You know, I cover the maintenance SOP, TMD, like I told you before, the DTMS SOP, depending on whether it's a service, calibration, or training, it all gets a certain color so that I can quickly reference it inside of my training schedule. Yeah, ARMS or ARIMS guide, CBRN SOP, battalion SOP, some of the regulations, field manuals, stuff like that. DTMS calendar, TMD, equipment records, CDE reports, battle book, the GCSS-Army battle book I built for my unit, hand receipts, individual equipment hand receipts. I normally break it up A through L and through Z, so it's a little bit easier for me to find. Yeah. So you can see there's a lot of stuff you track. And then of course, like the service packets, 700 Alpha, general equipment, service packet. I normally have the admin number put in here, and usually the serial number of the mask or whatever requires a service packet. So like I said, this was just a quick, easy breakdown on some of the ARIMS ways as you can do in your CBRN. Like I said, there's no quick way or there's nothing saying what you have to do for ARIMS, like how you're supposed to, like what records is. You're given a lot of leeway on what you need to do, but there are certain things. If you look at your checklist and things that it looks like you're supposed to be tracking and keeping, more likely you probably need an ARIMS label for that. All right. So hope you like this video. Make sure you stay tuned for the conclusion of the series sometime later this week. And as always, go Ordnance.